Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to be here with you tonight, live with Simon. In case you don't remember me, I'm Margot Mastery, your heartfelt CFO. And I thought this topic was really, really important because it's actually the number one objection that I get when clients look to come for services is that I got to pay for my marketing services, Margot, and all of these sorts of things. And in case you're new to my channel, in case you're new to my world, I provide outsourced bookkeeping, accounting services, tax, money tips, and all of the in between. And I share topics around it. You probably followed the beginning of the week when I had different content about money finances when it comes to couples. Um, this is another topic that I felt was really, really important to share about marketing because we just came off the pandemic. And again, in the pandemic, one of the first things that was so intricate for people was their marketing costs, where to spend, how much, should they cut the cost, should they reduce the cost. Like these conversations are over and over and over. And this past week, I was going through something with a client, and she said something to me that really alarmed me in a larger way. That I was like, I got to bring this back to Simon. And I met Simon, I don't know how many months ago, but when I formally give him the mic and he probably remembers better than me. Um, I was just very intrigued by him. He was always alert. He was always happy and very attentive and very just full of value. And I went to him even for some mindset stuff and some like encouragement. And I'm excited to share that we work together in a larger way now, that I am his CFO. And as colleagues, where we do go to each other for support. And um, he's just doing so many amazing things. And that we aligned on this topic of marketing, it was just really, really exciting for me because over the years in the industry, it was just such a hot topic for people that I want to talk to in a larger way. So, Simon, welcome. I am so excited that you are here. And please introduce yourself. Tell us all the good, the bad in between, and some secrets.
What is up, crew? It's so good to be with you, Margot. And yes, we go back way more than just a few months. I met Margot almost 2 years ago. And strangely enough, it was in a marketing group, somewhat of a marketing group, where there were some components around building your business, scaling into leverage coaching via digital courses. And Margot was just so great to me and just a fun person to get to know. And like she said, we've had several chats on mindset and personal development. That's kind of my core niche. And then I found myself in a place where I support other coaches on their journey in building their businesses. And Margot, I brought her on as my virtual CFO because I like to work with the best in the industry. I feel like I've got the best marketing coach in the world, and I have the best virtual CFO. And this is a great topic because I think a lot of people, they get suckered in, and it's tough. If you're an entrepreneur, you get so excited. You see people out there crushing it, and the people that are very visible are the ones that have good followings, that have been around it, and they're seeing that success. And certainly social media can skew that a little bit too. I love sharing the dirty details of like my downfalls, my crashes, as well as my successes. So I'm very open about the failures as well as the successes. But I think that new entrepreneurs, it's very tragic because there's marketers who will prey on them. And entrepreneurship is very enticing. It's very seductive, and especially with social media, and you only see the good stuff from a lot of influencers. It makes people want to do this. They'll pull lever. Marketing is really good about pulling levers, right? They want you to hate your job so that you leave and you start a business, and then they promise big results, but oftentimes they can't come through on that. And one thing I love about Margot is she's very, very good about building relationships and maintaining those and adding value, which is probably the best way that you can market. I do believe in having a person that helps me with marketing, but he not only builds out my my funnels and a lot of my content, but he teaches me a lot of stuff too. And we have a great relationship, but he's definitely different than what I see out there. And I think Margot and I had a really good conversation about how manipulative this can be. And I'm pretty prominent on LinkedIn, but Facebook's been, my jam for a while too. And it's unfortunate because I see so many people hit me up like three times in a week. I'll get somebody messaging me or trying to connect with me, and they have the same exact pitch line. I help coaches or course creators or entrepreneurs scale to 30K months in less than 90 days without lifting a finger. And I actually know where that formula came from. And it's disgusting to see how many of these marketers use that same pitch. It's like so vanilla and so played out. And I know that it's almost like a Ponzi scheme. They learned from somebody else who sold them. So they got suckered by another marketer. And it's almost like this Ponzi scheme where they pass it on down. Okay, the way to make money is to sell somebody on this way to make money. And it's unfortunate because I think that people, especially like in this day and age where things seem to come so easy, where we want instant gratification, we're missing out on the part about playing the long game and building sustainable businesses and relationships. And
let's dive into that. The long game and building relationships versus like the complete opposite, where people are in that instant gratification. What would you say to someone who's looking for the instant gratification versus the long game for really something to think about? Because it's two complete opposite worlds.
Yeah, I would say just off the top of my head, when I think about in my world, like some of the bigger names would be like Gary Vee, Amy Porterfield, Rob Dial, Gary Vaynerchuk, Tony Robbins. And each of those, I could go on with the whole list, and they all have their stories of almost quitting, of being like virtually bankrupt, of like eating ramen noodles because they couldn't even afford the lights to stay on. They all have these stories of like overcoming this adversity. And it's like, so if the biggest names in the industry cut their teeth to become entrepreneurs, why would it be different for any of us? And Margot, was really interesting because that template I told you about, 30K months in 90 days without lifting a finger. I was reading a book by, his name's Alex Hormozi, who's a brilliant marketer, and he focuses on helping people build gyms. And now he's helping, broader businesses. He's got a very high ticket offers, but he provides a lot of free content. And he talks about something called the value equation. And it's so interesting because this is a really good way to leverage sales. And there's a formula that's involved. And the formula is this. It's called the value equation. Dream outcome. You want to increase the idea of the dream outcome. You want to increase the perceived likelihood of success. This is in your marketing and content. And you want to reduce the time delay. And you want to reduce the effort and sacrifice involved. And the way that he talks about it is, like meditation, for example, that can reduce stress, really healthy for you. But it's not instant, right? You've got to meditate. You've got to learn how. You've got to be patient. It takes several years for people to build a practice, but it's the right way of doing it. But then they could sell you like Prozac or whatever and instantly get that fix, okay? Like dream outcome, you feel better. Perceived likelihood of success, oh yeah, it works. Time delay, yeah, it's instant, right? Effort and sacrifice, just throw it in your mouth. And that right? Viagra or whatever, like solve your problems really fast, give you the dream outcome, make it so easy for you. But there's things that doesn't work for. And building a business, I mean, you can spin it that way. And if you truly do have something, a way to help people succeed, yeah, that's great. But most of these marketers don't. And they're using those levers.
On that note about having something, but these marketers don't, what would you say is a good first step in that area for somebody in that position?
So I would say like organic growth it's tough these days. Facebook and Instagram, they sell, right? They've got the value equation right there, and it's very costly to get the results you want through advertising and marketing. But I think organic, there's still such a big place for organic. We've also lost our way in thinking that we need to have these huge followings. We need to have we're chasing the influencers and we got to have like 100,000 followers. No, you really don't. Like if you have 500 to 1,000 and their quality, that's enough to make a lot of connections and build a business off of it. But I think there's a lot to be said for organic growth. Certain platforms are less evolved than Facebook or Instagram. They've been around for years.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
The following and organic growth. So from my standpoint as a CFO, I could see people spending very fancy money on marketing, and they feel that that's more important than, let's say, an accountant cost, because they think it brings in income. An accountant is an expense. I'm wondering if you have an opinion about that.
I do. This is a tough switch for people to make, but it's something that's so crucial. Is Margot, like if you hire Margot for your services, it's going to pay for, like she has an ROI on that. Like she will save you money. Like if you look at it as an expense rather than an investment, then you're already off the game. But you need to look at someone like Margot and your marketing as an investment. And if the investment pays off, that's great. So I know that Margot, whatever I pay her, I know I'm going to have that savings. At the end of the year, the savings is going to exceed what I've invested in Margot, not spent, because spent means that money is disappearing. It's no longer gone. It is a spent resource. Money invested in Margot has a return on investment. So that's a very important distinction. Marketing is the same way. So this is what's so crazy with ad spend. So a lot of big corporations, there's a motto or a mantra in advertising: whoever spends the most wins. And if you're a big company, you have a big marketing budget. If you're just getting started, you don't. And there's ways that like the really good marketing hackers this is why you have low ticket offers. Is the low ticket offer is not designed to make money. It's designed to pay for the ad spend. So if you can get a low ticket offer that enough people will buy and it pays for the ads, then you're breaking even. But where the win comes is having a back end offer that you can sell them. So like that's a hack that not a lot of people know about, but and even so, it's very difficult to
pay attention to that hack, because that can take you 10 years to figure that out if you're assuming that you can follow along with that. And if you have questions, feel free to DM or write them below, because it is so, 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 so key. I mean, like as a CFO, what I find frustrating is that people will go to a coach or marketing for profit advice, and that's not their forte. And they will come to me as the expense and completely reverse it, and then be totally drained with the expense of that.
I would say like I would rather invest where I'm at, it makes sense to have a really good market, but he's not just any marketer. Most of them, if it's any of these guys I'm talking about, you're just gonna be dumping money. And same with if you just think you're just gonna go spend money on ads, without even knowing what you're doing, if you're gonna get your ass kicked, you're gonna lose a lot of money to try to figure this out. I would say, there's a lot that you can do with organic content creation and building solid relationships.
More about the organic.
Because I would say you could buy books on. I would start. A really good place to start is one of the best marketers in the world. His name's Russell Brunson. He owns the ClickFunnels app, and he gives away a ton of knowledge. And some of the stuff is pretty high level, but he'll give you some really good basics around creating quality content and understanding how to build offers and structure them in the right way. But I think that learning how to write copy, if you can learn how to write copy on your own, that, either attracts people or converts and is, exciting to read, that's a really good organic way to market, where you don't need to pay for somebody to do it. And you'll learn so much from doing that. You can get the information out of a book, and it's something that needs to be cultivated and practiced, but it's such a great skill to have. And you get good with that. And then, that starts if you can get good with content, people will engage with that and they'll leave their own comments, and that's what strikes up the conversation. But here's another component is like, to make a deal happen, you need to know how to sell. And a lot of people are scared to sell, but really, like, if you can just get some basics down around creating content that makes it exciting for people to read, start a conversation, build a relationship, they, if you're good about it, they're going to know what you do, and they're going to know to reach out to you when they need help. Or you can gently probe and see if they might be interested in something that you have to offer. But here's another mistake, and marketers are guilty of this too, is spamming people. Like, the other part of this is like the DM outreach. Like, marketers will promise, yeah, I'll get you a bunch of leads through our outreach process. What they do is they buy lists of emails, or they will use automation tools to just basically spam people. And the first message comes out, it's like, hey, and it talks about them. This is what we do. This is our stuff. And then they'll have follow-up automated sequences where, like, they're basically just talking about themselves, and people tune out on that. And then they flag those messages, and then you can get banned from these social apps, which is, you're spending money and you're not getting clients and you're losing relationships. And the other way to do that is like to talk to people in a real way. I mean, Margo, you're great with this. Get to know them before you ask for a sale. Like, I knew who to call because Margo's very prominent on social media about what she does. She adds value. She doesn't pitch. But when the time was right, like, she was the first person I thought. That is like the best organic marketing right there. It's to add value, be vocal, share knowledge, help people see the bigger picture, strike up a conversation, check in with people, follow up on leads. Brilliant. That's organic marketing right there.
I remember myself years ago when I was in those shoes of all of the things that you were talking about. I remember my first person who I hired with marketing. What I gave him, Simon, was really like more than what I had. And when I would ask for something, it was like you thought you were taking like the juice out of the juice from him. And he just made me feel so low. And I was seeing like all of these things happen. And he was like, if you pay me more money, this person pays me more money. Like, it came about the royal dollar and not the results on his formula. And I always felt ugly about it. It never resonated in such a way that I was happy when I paid him. It was like I was like this disgruntled vendor of his. But I felt like I had no choice because that's what was happening, until I decided to go all in on myself and really get intimate with the process of learning people, building the relationships, and leading by education. And when I saw how I left the other side of just looking to market versus educate with value, it was a very different feeling. So by the time clients come to me, my following prospects, however you want to call it, my friends, colleagues, they already know my voice. They already know what I'm about. And it's a matter of what they're up to that we could align really to get started. That's how quickly things work for me. However, to be able to get there, to trust the process, is why tonight's live is so important. Because as an accountant, as a CFO, I see this so much, the overindulgence of thinking more income, more sales, more funnels, more and more and more and more and more, versus being intentional with your processes and your steps of action to get there. Because even if you have a process, you want to make sure it's profitable. So
absolutely, yeah. If you have a marketer or a CFO who, like, they're actually either saving you money or creating money that exceeds the expense, exceeds the investment, there you go. You can do that all day long. It's interesting that, so I want to touch on this too. So there's marketing, sales, and branding. And this is the way a lot of people don't understand the difference between those two. So you can get away with like hard selling stuff, but marketing and branding will help deliver that sale so much easier. It's almost like in basketball, someone laying it up for you. So marketing is the creating the traffic, and that can be from paid traffic or organic traffic, where you're creating content and you're putting stuff out there or getting on a podcast, doing a live like this. This is organic marketing. The branding piece is what was really cool about Margot. Okay, branding is like, Margot can help me save money on taxes. That's branding. So you create traffic, and then that's the marketing. You're getting eyes, right? The branding part is like the connection. Like, I know Margot because she's the best CFO that's out there. Like, I want her. I don't care about anybody else. That's who I want. That's really good branding. And then the sales piece is converting, like actually taking money and exchanging
That's
that
where
for
the
the
relationship is.
yeah. And there's sales gets a really bad rap. I've been in sales for 9 years, and I remember being terrified of sales. I remember like, there's no way I'm going to do that. My parents had me go sell cherries, pick cherries and put them in bags and sell them around the neighborhood. I hated that. And I remember reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where Robert Kiyosaki was talking about working for IBM and going to, or yeah, it was IBM or Xerox. And he was going to all these big corporations and selling the products, going to the executives. And I'm like, and he said, like, everybody should do sales at one point in their life because there's so much growth that can come from that. And I was like, count me out. There's no way I'm going to do that. And yet here I am. The crazy thing is you can sell without being pitchy. You don't have to be like the car salesman. And it's sad because a lot of people, just like with the marketing, they go into sales thinking, I've got to be like the alpha. I've got to like really push people. I've got to be salesy to make it happen. And I don't care what I have to do. Actually, like, the best salespeople are really good at listening. Like, they'll ask questions and give you space, hold space for you to say the answer that you need.
That is so key. I remember when I started in the real estate industry, it's one of my specialties. And there's this big community that I'm a part of. When I first came in, a lot of these guys drink, a lot of these guys go out, and a lot of the women in the industry, they have like these heavy cleavage shirts and like these short skirts and things. And like, I thought there was no way I was going to get into this market because I thought that's what you had to do. However, it's not my style and it wasn't who I am and who I wanted to be. How does this connect? Is that it's finding what's right for you and not just doing like what you think you should be doing. When you are shutting all over yourself, that's the question. That's the fuzzy part to really look for and see what you're doing and what you could improve on in a different way. This is the evolution of accounting. This is the evolution of CFO services, where we can help you be more intentional and be more aware. If you're making business deals, for instance, now when you're making business deals in this sense too, it's like making the correct partnerships that's going to serve you in the largest way. When you make business deals, it has to serve both of you. I remember feeling also that like if I wanted a business deal with somebody, like I had to do it their way to get into it. And I would really crush my soul to get into it. But I don't do that anymore. I have non-negotiables that I've evolved that I feel very strongly about for someone to be in the partnership along with my clients. Now, what Simon said is very important in terms of the like that formula, to really think about what you're buying into when you make a decision. When you see where you're putting your money, when you're making a decision, just notice and be aware of what is happening on why you're making that. Are you doing like it from a panic standpoint, or are you doing it from, and I keep using the word intentional because we're looking at the 100-foot view of your kingdom, and I mean kingdom. Let's say working with Simon, for instance. At first, I don't know if he was really going to work with me. And then he started to say things like, and I was like, hey, you built an office? Like he just started to really mumble the things that were so important. That was like the real juice to be able to open up. This is, my friends, the importance of building relationships and going into places where you think is not the gray zone. that's the place. It's building the relationship so that you can see where it lies for the big game. Now, I didn't used to know that way with relationships. I used to think, okay, I got them, they had the contract. It's not true. You have to go into each day as if it's a new day. Like, just because someone's my client now, it doesn't mean tomorrow he's still going to be in love with me. It's not going to be that he's not going to be unhappy or come to me upset about something. I mean, I had a client the other day. He texted me something where he said, he was complaining about a fee and things or whatever. And he was like, this is like a simple question, Margot. And usually the simple ones are not the ones that are simple. We got onto the phone and he was upset about something else. And it really wasn't about the fee. He was upset about something else. This is where I tell you is pay attention to what he was saying about the formula. And maybe Simon could go over it again now and really understand that formula of what you're buying for marketing for your company, where that really lies and that aligns with you. And if that really resonates. And to that tune, Simon, I'm going to ask you to re-go over that part of the formula to help people really go in further on those components one by one, if possible.
Yeah. So it's called the value equation. And I think a lot of marketers understand levers to get people to take action. Sales is the same way. There's certain levers that you could pull to get people to do it. A lot of times, like you kind of need to help people, like to help themselves because they get in their own heads. They worry about like I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, and when you can clearly help them. So I think marketing is good to help people understand that and to help them move and do it in their best interest. But the other side is it can be very manipulative. The value equation again is you want to raise the dream outcome. So that could be more money, title, whatever, the house, the car, like make it look as enticing as possible. You want to raise the likelihood of success. So if you're a gym instructor or a fitness instructor, it's like you want them to feel like they're going to get that beach body. You want to reduce the time delay, which makes it as fast as possible. And you want to also remove or reduce effort and sacrifice. So the fitness thing is a really good example because a sustainable, healthy body doesn't happen overnight. And, the dream outcome would be to have the beach body.
And the same thing like business that we talk about.
Yeah. Perceived likelihood of success is like, will I be able to make this happen or will I quit? The time delay is like, how fast can I make this possible? The effort and sacrifice, like, do I have to eat like a rabbit? Do I have to work out? And this is why, like, even like the pharmaceutical industry or pills or whatever, like quick solutions. This is why people get suckered into this stuff. And most of the time, this doesn't work. I mean, maybe there's some examples, but like a business can use these levers in a ethical way by having micro wins. Like, okay, well, you're not going to have your dream body, and like we're not going to have to give you liposuction. That's a very quick win, right? Really easy. So low effort and sacrifice. Time delays fast. Perceived likelihood of success. Yeah, you're going to lose weight if you get it sucked out of you. Dream outcome, you're going to get like, well, I don't know if it'll be your dream body, but yeah, that's another example of a shortcut. But if you want to do this ethically and say you're like a business coach or a fitness instructor, it's like find micro wins along the way. So like I give them the overall, for example, a coach, I want to get them to $100,000 and far beyond that. But I'm very, very clear about this is, we're going to play the long game. But let's, what's the first step on doing that? Okay, well, let's get you your first clients, right? Or let's get your content dialed, start getting you some engagement. And so those are like, it's not the dream outcome of a 6 or 7 figure business. That's the overall target. But let's break that down into smaller chunks because then they are feeling like they're winning and they're taking the right steps. And yeah, it's so important for us to, like you said, to act ethically and think about the client. And one thing I say in sales that is really good at, like, it's a great icebreaker, but it also is a way to build trust but you have to be authentic with this, is I tell a lot of people I work with that, like, I need to worry about my paycheck if I put you first. If I worry about you and I don't think about my paycheck, I won't have to worry about it because my paycheck will be just fine. And it's so crazy because it works so well. Like when I don't think about, like, they call this commission breath in sales. Like like you go into a car dealership and they're like, hey, and they're trying to sell you the features and the benefit, the bells and whistles, right? Instead of like, what's the feeling? What's the dream outcome that this person wants? And like actually serving them. Like if you do that and you put your paycheck behind that, you're not going to have to worry about your paycheck. Like there's a different frequency and a different vibe when you put your client's best interest first. And I firmly believe that. And I've done well because of that. And I'm vocal about it too. So I will tell people that exactly.
I'll talk more about that because I have that conversation all the time when people are worried about money. And I always tell them to shift the focus on the value and look at the disconnect of what happened between you and the client in terms of that partnership. Then that's the breakthrough. Because
Yeah, there's two ways to look at it. Like one is looking out for their best interest, but two, investing in yourself and making you the best person that you can be. The outcome that you want is a byproduct of you becoming a better whatever you're in. Like, your best CFO or the best coach, the best marketer. Like if you work on your skills and, I call this mastery over achievement, but if you work on mastering yourself and becoming the best at what you're doing, this is the Kobe Bryant getting up at 4 a.m. and practicing it over and over and over
doing
and
the
over.
work. Yeah.
Okay. He's not worried about the shots, the scores, the score or the money, the cars, the jets, the team, the big name. Those come because as a byproduct of him spending time in the gym and perfecting his shots. So for us, that looks like, how do I serve my clients on the highest possible level? How do I make sure that they come away with a level 10 experience? You've heard me say that because even as a client of yours, like I want everybody that I interact with to feel like I'm so glad I worked with him, even if it's a leader or a friend or somebody that I work for or I'm a client of. I don't want to just be like it. Like this goes back to your partnership thing, which is so true. Like I think as a client, you've got to be a partner with the person helping you out. So that's a great question to ask that helps focus on mastery is like, how do I give this person a level 10 experience?
Love that.
And the money will come from that. Like
But
just
also
don't.
take that from right, but also take that from a lesson standpoint of who you're choosing. Are they really building a partnership with you that you can count on them and have your back? I mean,
Exactly.
Simon, would you say that our firm or my firm, because I like to say it in the team perspective, would you say that we have your back and
Yeah,
our
absolutely. What I love about Margot, and this is a great thing to talk about too, is Margot will tell you straight up how it is. And it isn't always easy to digest, but she's doing the right thing. She's doing her duty to keep you informed and to stretch you. And I love that about Margot. And sometimes I have like this blank look on my face. I'm like,
would you give
I'm
an
processing, but I'm like, I know this is going to hit in a minute. And it's just like, trust her. So it's like, I know she's looking out for me. So even though this doesn't feel good, I just know that she's expanding my mind. She's
so right
creating a better version of me.
okay, so right there, when you tell me that you trust and you're like, just go ahead, what do I tell you in
She
that
tells me
moment?
that she wants me to learn it. This is important too. Okay. This is what's so great about both Margot and my marketing coach is like my marketing coach is building stuff out for me, but he's also teaching me so I
Right.
understand it better. Margot's helps me understand money and finance better. I've been a big student of money and finance from an investment standpoint, but not the
From
accounting
your
part of it. And like when you have that resistance inside where you just want to avoid it, that's saying something. It's saying that you should probably learn it more. And so I think like, if the partnership is a great way to look at money too. Like in a relationship, it can't be one-sided. I mean, like a relationship with a loved one, it can't be like you chasing them. You've got to be both giving. You've got to be interdependent, not just dependent on the other person, but like sharing and adding value to each other. Same with a business relationship and same with a relationship with money. Like I look at money literally as like I partner with money. Like we can do good in the world together. Let's get together and see what we can create.
I
I don't
love
like
that.
worship it, and I don't like talk bad about it. Like sometimes I'll catch myself saying, "Oh, I don't need the money," and I'll be like, "Oh, that's so disrespectful," because I would never say that to like a relationship that was a person, right? Oh, I don't need my wife. Oh, I don't need you. I wouldn't say that. So I don't want to talk about money that way either. Money is my partner.
Mm. So let's say, assuming all our business owners that are watching this, I mean, we're going to share it, through email and different platforms and things, whether they're live or replay. Somebody who is watching this and they're like, dang, what do I do now? I got 5 different marketing systems. I bought 6 courses. I was thinking about another 2. Like, what would you tell them of like taking a step back and being able to really look at things, to reach out for help possibly, but even first to look at theirs from a different perspective now?
I think people need to understand what marketing is. Sometimes people do this because it's the thing to do. They think, and part of this is like it's a shortcut. Like we're wired to find the quickest path on anything. So, to a novice, it seems like, okay, well, the easiest thing to do is to pay for Facebook ads. And then people don't know what the hell they're doing. Then they spend money on ads, and then they're just like, that just was like throwing it down the drain. And, they don't realize that that's actually, they just paid for a lesson. So that's one thing. Another thing I would say too is, like we talked about, is understand what marketing is and learn that through do organic marketing at first and learn about it, just like you should learn about money. And see, there's so much that you can do just organic without even any paid services.
So
And use
let's
the
touch on that for a second before you move forward in terms of before paid services. So I'll tell you, in my seeding method, that is my process of telling people and teaching my coaching clients is on the organic method. It gets you that intimate style where you really know your niche and you really know what they want. Because when you don't, your growing stage or your feeding stage, you're not going to be feeding them what they're looking for. So you may think that your marketing isn't working possibly, and you're spending all of this fancy money. But if you didn't spend that time in the organic stage and the seeding stage, then you're not going to be communicating the message from the growth up. And
totally, yeah, like you don't know your voice. You don't know what resonates with your crowd. So like, how can you, I mean, I suppose in some instances you can, people can do it for you, but I think it is good to know your voice. I think it's good to learn enough about it and to grow into that. And like when you start bringing in income and you start to scale, that's where once you start creating cash flow, that's how you have money to start doing some of that stuff. But yeah, here's another thing to look out for. I call this I guess you could do this in marketing, but I call this like knowledge collecting. So a lot of times people avoid what they need to do to make business happen, which is to like interact with clients or potential clients or network, because they're afraid of it. So they buy course after course after course, and they're not like learning so there's an element of learning what you need to. And then here's the big kicker too, is so first you find your own voice, learn how to do some organic marketing so you understand it a little bit better, and then build up income to be able to leverage from there. But like, here's another thing too, is you can always look for testimonials, right? You can always talk to people who've worked with someone. That's the best way to find somebody, is reach out to your network and say like, who's work, and take some time to figure that out. But don't just like, if you see a banner of someone just saying that they're going to make you $30,000 a month in 90 days, like you should have some
talk
serious.
about your posts of what you were saying and then the testimonials, like the way you nailed it on the post today.
Oh, yeah. Most of the time they just have a pitch, a headline, following the formula from Alex Hormozy, and they don't have any social proof, right? Here's the crazy thing, is there are some really good marketers out there. They're not promising stuff that they can't deliver. And usually I don't even see them like what they're sharing is testimonials. They're sharing client wins, which is really the best guys will have, like a part of their content pillar is to share wins, share testimonials. And then you can see that they've actually made that happen. Even so, the people had to put in some work to make that happen. It did not happen overnight. So I think that's always a good thing to do, is like look out for testimonials, look for case studies. Like referrals are awesome. if you've known somebody who's worked with somebody and they can tell you about that, but please do your due diligence and just don't hand your money over.
So let's just say, even with referrals, like if you're looking for the next win, you need a sale. Referrals are not costing you anything. It's your time. So it's like, find 5 friends who you think might refer you to, even just one person each. You can dial it up in 2 people each, and then have conversations. Now, you could be like, Margot, I don't want to have conversations. Okay, so send them a text message to arrange it, or an email to arrange it, or send them some type of value or resource to spark the conversation, just to do something to ignite it. However, I will tell you, no matter what you do without having conversations with people, no matter where they're at, it will not increase your income for the long game. And part of my 6-figure course, which the webinar is posted, which coming up, which you all should attend, is that if you don't look at your long game, I mean, if you look at statistics in business, people close within the first 3 years, if not 6 months, because they don't look at their long game. Now, I'll tell you, in my business, it's more common that people go to my high ticketed programs versus my lower ticket. I've made it my business the past about 2 years when I really realized this, because I really wanted to see what was going on with them, or like the earlier version of myself, to really remember what that was. I'm specifically looking to talk to those people because that's my long game. That's my long game for my company. But more so than my long game, I'm not going to deplete myself for the next 20 years looking for leads and prospects to grow. They'll grow through my funnel. They'll grow through my step process, which is actually what happened with Simon. Simon, I brought him in, or he came together where we partnered, and he was at our basic level. We gave him monthly. He wasn't even attending our monthly calls. And I would tell him, I would be like, dude, you're like offending me. You're not hanging out with me. Come on. And it took some time where he jumped into for him to jump into the process. And now he attends all our calls with these big, gorgeous smiles, and he's ready. He knows when he comes to the calls, he's ready. And if he's not, he'll be right there to say when he's going to have it. He listens to our messages, the emails, behind the scenes of what happens to support the calls. This all goes into the long game, to seeing that 100-foot view of your business. If you think about so many people where they were like, oh, I went from 4 million down to 1 million because of COVID. It's not only because of COVID, it's because of the sustainability on how that growth was. It was just that spike. It was like the spike of like the medicine example that he was giving it to you. You take these medicine, you swallow it, you get it. It's like caffeine. You get caffeine. You get that instant gratification. But with business, if you don't look at the long game of what your clients want and what pain points that you're solving, then it just won't happen. In my company, our long game is people looking for their generational wealth, generally, what it ends up coming to. They want to save money on taxes, and they want to know, how are they going to give it to their kids from a different definition, and not just be like, oh, my daddy has. Oh, my daddy has. But when your daddy is dead, how are you going to pick that up in such a way where you are going to remember your dad, and your kids now, and going to say, my grandpa did. And it goes on for generations. And this is what we build together in that evolution of the partnership. I think this is a good point to kind of loop this together. Simon, you have a lot of various beautiful offers. I think I have a favorite one to share, but I'm wondering to share for everybody, and after, kindly, if you'll put it in the comments, what is like an entry point for people to work with you on your specific marketing style and your coaching style? What do you have now that people could walk into?
Yeah, so I'd say like the easiest thing that you can do is, like, I don't want to sell anybody anything right now. What I would love to do is just be in your ear and talk mindset and personal development. Let's get, because that is behind everything. whether you're an entrepreneur or you're, in a job or trying to, going through school, whatever you're doing, like 80% of it is mindset. 20% of it is like the strategy, and you'll always benefit for that. And I would love it if you'd take your phone out right now and pull out your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Apple, whatever, and just type in Mindset Hackers and just hit subscribe. And whenever you need a dose of motivation or intent, or learn, talk about gratitude, right? Mindfulness, psychology, human performance, anything like that, I've got like a great podcast. It's just like the perfect doorway for you to get to know me a little bit better. But, before you forget, before you, don't just jot it down, just grab your phone right now, type in Mindset Hackers, and just hit the subscribe button, and then browse through some of it, because I've got a lot of amazing thought leaders that join me on my podcast. We talk about some fun topics, and it's always around the core of either mindset or business and entrepreneurship. And we even get into stuff like money mindset, abundance, how to stay out of scarcity, just really good topics. So that's my only ask. And then I just want to leave your audience with one more tip, and it's doing exactly what I'm doing. Okay. The best kind of organic marketing is be more vocal and get on people's podcasts or their live calls, or teach in front of a group, but do what lights you up and what you're passionate about, and then find an audience that has similarities as your audience. That, I call these like joint alliances, right? Like, find people who have the same audience as you, but you're not competing on products or offers, and go in front of them and add value. You'll make that other person, you'll add value to their audience, and, increase their demand as well, while also putting you in front of the right people.
I love that. I love that. I would say definitely check out the podcast. As I told you in the beginning of our live tonight, I went from mindset shifts, and I was mind blown by the things that he came up with. For me, with certain things, like I was going through a course at the time and things like that. And there's these little hacks that he has that just create these huge shifts that you'll see. And I would love when you do that, if you came back and share them with us, so that we can get those shifts as well. And because sharing is caring, my friends.
Yeah, you can give me any time for that. That's like my favorite thing, is to talk about mindset. So it feels good, but like your mind dictates anything, and you literally have we all deserve to have the most beautiful, abundant lives.
Amen. Amen. So before we close together, is there anything more you want to share?
No, that's it. This has been a blast. I'm glad that we got to jam finally.
Totally. It's amazing how things come together. I work a lot with one-on-one clients in my outsourced capacity of accounting services. And, within my own clients' needs, I saw a client suffering from exactly what was Simon's purpose of the business that he's doing on top of a full-time job. And I was like, this is really time to go live with this and share to the community, because I want you to be more intentional with your money, and really realize when you're intentional, you get so much more. And when you care for your money cares for you. If you don't take care of your money, it will not take care of you. And I'll tell you, I have so many clients that are like that, and I make so much money off of that. I can say that loud on social media. However, what I really want for you is to take care of your money, so we can focus on the taxes part. But however your journey is, we can meet you where you're at and help you align from there. So with that said, thank you, Simon. And this was so much fun. I appreciate you. I appreciate working together, your knowledge, your time. And if there's any questions, as always, please let me know. And for some reason, if you don't want a message at the bottom of the video, you want a DM or email, it's totally fine. Either way, we will respond, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now.
See you, crew. Thank you.
Good night.